everyone. Welcome back to Kampai Sugai podcast. It's been a good morning right now. We're recording in the morning. Luckily, we're not really going to be doing some day drinking. We're doing day drinking, but it's not alcoholic day drinking, which is good because I think it's a little bit too early to do. I mean, we're not rich. We're not like getting mimosas or anything. I mean, we're rich in knowledge, but we're not like.
This is kombucha.
This is kombucha. We're not doing any champagne. I can see people doing champagne in the morning if they wanted to, But right now I have a returning guest who is part of the first batch of returning guests before I actually did video. So this is pretty good because people don't know what. I mean, if they looked you up, they probably would see what you look like. but when we did our podcast, there was a video. It was just audio, and that's good. Now people can kind of relate the face to that old podcast, but also this one right now.
Absolutely.
And, and a lot has changed, and we'll get into that. But it's good to have you here. Thank you for joining me, and happy belated Veterans Day.
Oh, thank you.
Mr. Ricky Magill. Thank you.
Thank you for having me, and it's just an honor to be back again and just having discussions,
Yeah. You're a pro now, pro podcaster.
Nah.
Well, this is your second one.
Yeah, it's my second one. Yeah, it's hard to believe.
Mm-hmm. So it's interesting because I was listening to our old podcast, a lot of my old podcasts yesterday. It's been a while since I've been listening to my other podcasts, and I think for me, it's weird because I stepped away from podcasting for a little bit. I was a little bit too critical of myself because I thought those episodes were really good actually. Just listening to it, I think what happened for me was, and a lot has changed since then because when we talked about stuff, we were kind of going into business. It's funny because there's so much more that you do. You play guitar. With dog training, we can get into what you're doing now, with advancing from a senior dog trainer to a national dog trainer, which is pretty crazy, because you're a rare breed. You know what I mean?
Thank you.
You're purebred, but you're a rare breed.
Straight from the 808.
Yeah, but there's from those old podcasts, I realized I think I was a little bit too critical of myself. It was a learning moment for me yesterday. But we'll get into that, and so let everybody know what you've been up to lately.
Okay.
What you've been doing differently from your from the last time we met.
Yeah, so a lot has happened. When the pandemic first hit, I was furloughed for 2 months, and then they extended to 4 months. That was pretty rough. And here in Hawaii, we have an older system when it comes to unemployment, so we had a lot of catching up to do. And I knew I was going to get paid, but it just that I wasn't getting paid in a timely manner. But with patience, and praying, I was able to get back pay. Of all the checks.
Of all the chicks.
Checks. It's morning, guys.
Of all the chicks, you get back pay.
Some good humor right there. But like during that time, I was just trying to figure out what I can do to be productive. I was still doing network marketing and stuff, and that was doing pretty good for the most part. Everything is just transitioning over to offline to online. I mean, it's still continuing. You can see businesses out there, shutting down because of that. It's like, why have something displayed when it's displayed online? Just check out and get it shipped to your house. But not to get sidetracked from that, guys. I did a lot of like yoga. Just learning how to be mobile using natural body movement. Also breath work, that kind of helped a lot. It's very interesting when you look into it because it's not what you really think. I mean, you think that if someone tells you, "Oh, do you do breath work?" It's like, what is that? You know, it's like sounds kind of weird.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it's like a Wim Hof kind of thing.
Yeah,
We
and that's
talked
where
about
the influence came from. And so
Okay.
I started doing that, and then from there, what else did I do? Just a lot of bonding with my dog. You know, a lot of times we go to a job, right? We work, we're away from our loved ones, and my loved one is my dog, you know? And also my parents, too. I love them. But it's just like what a dog doesn't understand, right? Like, why are you gone? You know? And that's another thing, too, just being able to create a routine so that my dog doesn't get anxious. And that's another topic, too, anxiety. So once got furloughed for 4 months, I came back. A lot of people left the company, right? Also, yeah, Petco, we went public. So we were private sector. We went to the public.
Oh, interesting.
And so a lot of changes, good changes, because I felt like it was needed, you know, and from that, coming back to the workplace, even though that there was a lot of scarcity going on, especially here in Hawaii, I didn't get too much, you know, intel, or I should say clientele. But I kept on pushing. Somehow I made it happen, and I became #1 in district for like, I don't know how long, but for a long time.
Congratulations.
And I never realized, you know, it's just the mindset I had. You know, I was like, you know what, I want to help people impact families with their dogs, right? Building that bond, building that relationship that you never thought you could build, you know? And then from that, it went from doing that to, hey, would you like to be a virtual mentor? I was like, virtual mentor? Like, how do you do that? Like, I'm already a mentor already, but just being doing it online. So they offered me to become a virtual dog trainer mentor. The reason why they have us is because there's other apprentices, dog training apprentices around the nation that might not have a mentor in their district, in their area. So when they don't have them in their hometown or whatever, they send us, right? And then it's a 6-week program. They learn the knowledge base, hands-on. It's very educational because they learn like the latest trends that are happening in positive dog training, which is amazing. And if you guys don't know, you better look it up because it's very. It was an eye opener for me when I first started. But yeah, I'm currently doing that now. I certified. I can't even think how many I certified already. But I had done 3 classes already, meaning 3 different groups of apprentices, ranging from six of them. I think minimal I did like 4, right? And each time they go through the process, they get certified. They go back to their store and build their business, reaching out to families that are in need. Now, I know I'm talking a lot. I'm going to bounce back about anxiety because Petco released a very interesting course called Separation Anxiety Course, and this was built for those that are transitioning from home, working from home, back to the workplace, right? And so this is more of like a prevention, not like a quick fix, you're good, you don't have to worry. No, this is more preventing it from becoming severe. Or if the dog is not experiencing anxiety, just preventing it at all costs, right? Because once you get a dog anxious, sometimes it can be very challenging just to get them to self-settle. And so with that being said, I've learned how to get dogs to learn how to self-settle when a sudden change happens. So I don't know if you guys know this, you probably do, but separating anxiety, just in one word, it's a panic. It's a panic disorder. So we're trying to eliminate that and getting them just to be calm and relaxed, you know, no matter where they're going to be at. So I thought it was very interesting. I'm still learning about it. They have this thing called Certified Separation Anxiety Trainer. That's where I want to be. I'm not there yet. They're just giving me the tools to prevent it, but to actually help those that do have it, that's where the professionals come in. So it's very interesting how they laid it out, and I love it. So that's what's been going on.
Yeah, it's interesting because when people talk about mental health, we just think instantly like another human, right? We don't think about, we don't automatically think about like the animal itself, right? A dog, a pet, you know. Um, so that's an interesting aspect that they brought into that, separation anxiety. Because like, I mean, my landlord has a dog, which is different from what we were doing last time because we didn't have a dog last time we were doing a podcast.
That's right.
And it's cool because she's a full bred German Shepherd. I mean, the dog I used to have, she was I think she was a golden retriever pit bull mix. So different kinds of things with Molly.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting because it kind of feels like she wants to do something. She naturally wants to like fill in a job or something like that.
Oh, for sure.
That might be because of what kind of dog she is. So she naturally veers to I need to do something, right?
Well, just to sum it down, she's a working dog.
Mm.
Working breeds you have to give them something. If not, they can be very, how should I say, destructive.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just understanding in certain breeds, they're in need of doing certain jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially for Molly, when we go and get like dinner or something like that, and then we come back, but she's just waiting there, right? Which is funny. She always waits at my parking stall, so she just lays there, and then even when I pull up, she doesn't move. She doesn't move at all until like I slowly creep up, and then I get out of the car. Then she gets up, and then she. So in a way, it's that kind of mentality for her. She's used to certain things. She knows I'm not gonna, run over her or something. but she's used to
conditioned.
Yeah, she's conditioned in a way. It's funny because we were talking about that in the last podcast with conditioning.
That's right.
Learning.
Yeah.
I think that's an important thing, especially during COVID, about learning different skills, advancing.
Yeah.
Like I said, for yourself, you went from senior dog trainer to national dog trainer, and then for me, I went from like last time we were talking, I was in school, and then I got a degree during the podcast, or during the pandemic. I got bachelor's degree in accounting, and then now I just work from home, and I'm very blessed about
Right
that.
on, man, and
Yeah.
super proud of you, man. Just being
Thank
able
you.
to do all those things. It's not easy, right?
Mm-hmm. It's not easy. It's not easy working from home.
Yeah.
Because I will say, like, for me, I'm used to it. But the thing is, the separation from different people. Now my wife works from home, but still, it's weird to work from home. You don't see coworkers, so it's good to see them once in a while. But for like people that are at home doing dog training, it's weird too because there's that connection that's there when you're with somebody versus virtually.
Yeah, it was very weird for me just getting to transition from working from home, instructing. So that's building a skill set too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like fine-tuning it. Like I can instruct already, but being able to do it over a Zoom is a little bit different, right? And then being able to display, demo my dogs, performing the behaviors, right? Showing them, okay, this is how you do this, right? And at first I was skeptic about it because it's harder. It's totally different from being on a Zoom call versus being at the pet store, right? And actually being around other people with their dogs. So it's a different vibe, right? So a lot of it is using what you know, right? Applying it despite what's there, right? So using your imagination. So it's like, hey, if you can just, I know it's going to be difficult in the beginning, but that's why I was there. I was there to help them. And you know what? It turned out to be A-okay.
Yeah, beneficial as well.
Very beneficial. And I was like, I'm glad that I took this opportunity because now it's spreading my name around the nation. And I never thought, like, to be honest, I'm like, it's crazy. And not just me, but my dogs too, right? So Kenai, and I'm not one to really exploit my content and whatnot, more of like a private type of person.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't have to be public to get, what you want, whether it's fame or, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Right? And I just find it very interesting. And it reminds me of like, not saying I'm at that level, but like exotic cars. Do you see them having commercials?
True, yeah.
I've never seen a commercial
seen a
for like a Ferrari.
Oh, yeah, Ferrari.
Yeah, Lamborghini. I never seen them, and you don't have to. That just shows you don't have to. You just have to talk.
Mm-hmm. The quality is there,
Yes.
right? And people know the quality, so
Absolutely.
they trust the brand. They trust. So the same
Yes.
thing. And then that's a key thing. The trust
Yeah.
in knowing what they're getting. You know.
Absolutely, and it correlates to a lot of things, right?
Yeah.
Not just dog training, right?
Mm-hmm.
It could be within your business too, any business. Just being able to build that relationship, right? I think it comes down to building a really good relationship, building that trust, so they do want to come back, right? And then they're gonna let other people know about what you're doing because it's helping them.
And talking a little bit about that, because with podcasting, I never really told people that transition from doing just audio only to video, because when I was doing audio only, I was just kind of doing it more as an experiment. Even with the first stint that I did my podcast, it was an experiment to see what I can do with it, or where it can go. It actually grew a lot faster than I thought, but it was weird because, like before I took my break, I did this thing where I interviewed the mayor candidates, right? Which is weird because I never thought I would get to that position in a short time. But and it worked out because it was during the pandemic. I was able to interview them, to meet people like Andrea Topola in person, which was weird for me because I was thinking, wow, I watched this woman.
Yeah.
I supported her when she was running for governor, and I was a heavy supporter, and then now I'm talking with her, face to face in an interview, and she was doing like a Miss Samoa pageant, so
wow.
Like that was like what she was there when we were recording for the Mauna Kea podcast. She was at Turtle Bay Resort. She was about to do whatchamacallit. She was a judge.
Oh,
so
wow.
Before that,
for the pageant, right?
Yeah, for the pageant. But before that, we were. She can correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was Miss Samoa pageant. I can't remember too much, but before that, then we just decided to record over there at Turtle Bay Resort, and it was weird because, like I said, Andrea Topola, I never thought I would meet her. Now I have her on for like 3 podcasts. I had her for a live. I had her for Zoom, like,
That's so awesome.
During the pandemic, and then Turtle Bay Resort, So there was that trust because even with people that they didn't actually meet me, they said, I heard of you before even recording with them. So it was weird because it's like, oh, wow, my name's getting out there, even if I don't see it or something, or
same.
Just putting it out there.
I feel the same way too. Ain't it crazy? Like we're just doing what we're doing.
Yeah,
that's it. We're not really making much more than what it really is, if that makes sense. And long story short, you just reminded me about maybe 2 years ago. One of my clients, she told me that my name is all over the island. It's like, are you sure? Is this the same Ricky we're talking about? Because I haven't heard anything yet. It's like, yeah, they were like, you're like a celebrity. It's like, no, I'm nowhere near at that level, But if they think, hey, right on, it is what it is. I think I don't like to boast on, on my fame, but I am gonna spread awareness to what I do because I have always say this: you only know what you know.
Yeah.
Until someone comes into your life, kind of educates you, spreads that awareness, and then now you know what you're all about. And
that kind of goes with we talked about this before, that domino effect. Right?
Oh yeah.
We have with the domino effect. We were talking about how people are kind of set on their minds. There's this one path. They don't really look at the other avenues, right? But with the domino effect, for like what we're doing is we knock down one, and there's multiple branching paths.
Yes.
And it just hits, but we don't even know it's happening.
Exactly, and that's mind blowing, right?
Yeah, it's mind blowing. It's crazy because it's like, you know, you never think you would get to a point like that, but it just happens.
Yeah,
you know. I mean, for myself, like even podcasting, I'm not like the biggest podcaster out there.
Yeah.
But it's weird, you know. My wife will go, "Oh, you know so and so? Oh yeah, I know them. They know me through my podcast or something like that." And it's weird. I don't like saying it like that, but that's how I know them, you know, or they know me, you know, from my podcast. And then even the guy I had on this last podcast, you know. It's weird because, you know, even him, he's like, oh yeah, I you know, so and so, you know, told me about your podcast and before, and, like, I've heard your name before, and it's like, it's weird because it's like, wait, who's actually listening? You know, yeah. I thought it was only one person. You know?
Spread the word.
Yeah, spread the word. So it's, I don't know. It amazes me, because it shows, and for me, when I was stepping away from podcasting for my first stint, I had a lot that I wanted to improve on, right? Mentality wise, I thought some things were a little bit too professional, I think, and I was like, I need to tone that back and be a little bit more raw with what I'm doing, not structured. You know, I used to have like questions kind of already there, and I memorized them. You know, I didn't like word by word. So when I would ask in the podcast, I kind of knew what I was asking, but in a way, I kind of knew the response to it. So in a way, it wasn't fulfilling for me. Like I wasn't discovering something. So like now it's different because I'm going into podcast a little blind. I don't know what we're gonna talk about. You know what I mean? But if I get to a certain point and I can kind of bring everything full circle, then I feel like I accomplished something.
Absolutely.
You know, and with, you know, even with what we're doing now, it kind of comes full circle because the old podcast, we were kind of growing in our fields, and like for me, I was kind of just starting off as a podcaster. For you came into your own as a senior dog trainer, but you were getting your feet wet even with network marketing. Yeah. And now we're coming full circle again. Things have changed, but for the better, because we've hit that domino effect. You know, we sent things into the universe, and the universe said, okay, well, you've been working, you've been consistent, persistent with it as well. Oh, yeah. And we trust that your process is working pretty well. So here you go. You know, and there's this thing about like with luck, how I think it's like opportunity meets chance or something like that. I forgot what it is, but that's how, like, what was that? Oh, preparation. Yeah, preparation and opportunity meet, you know, and in a lot of ways that's what's kind of happened with us, you know.
No, I agree. It's truly blessed. And I, you know, just recently I've talked to my mom about this, about building your own personal success, right? You have to go through your failures to understand, to build character, to learn from it, right? The overcoming of your adversities. I can't remember who I was listening to, but they were saying that you need to go through your failures. If you never experience failure, how are you going to survive when time hits? Preparation, right? How are you going to prepare yourself? Are you going to give up and just kind of just forget about everything? Or are you going to fight for it? Because you done it for a reason, right? You done it because your heart told you to do it. And that's another thing too, right? Your heart and your mind, right? Your mind can tell you a lot of things, and that's another thing too, right? They say that your worst enemy is yourself. So having that battle within yourself, right, versus what your heart says, is two different things. So I've learned that expressing your passion about something is going to help you, as long as that you just follow through, stay accountable, and being consistent. And it just makes me think about those other people that they don't have anybody to to kind of say those things to them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe they're alone. And that's why I think something like this, what you're doing, and as well as what I'm doing on my for dog training site, is very helpful, right?
I think in a lot of ways with like older generations, right? And I think it's a learning thing, you know, where there's they become kind of, I don't want to say stagnant, but there's another word for it. But they become kind of still, where they reach a certain age and then it becomes maybe, I don't know what to learn more, you know. And I think in some ways...
I know what you're talking about. I just had it in my head, but then I lost it. Sorry.
I forgot. Maybe complacent. There's another word for it, but it's... I should give my wife a mic, dude. she always, my wife just said complacent for those who are listening but not watching, because they don't know who I'm looking at if I do that. But yeah, there's I guess there's an acceptance, right, in their minds. So if their heart accepts, like, I don't know if I can learn more, then their mind's gonna think anything that's people are gonna tell me, I don't know if I can accept it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that goes with the whole heart, what you feel kind of makes what you want to learn more.
Yeah.
Because if you're not wholehearted into learning more about something, then anything that people are going to tell you is just going to go out the window.
Absolutely. It's very interesting.
And that kind of goes with like, so like what I want to ask with the military. The military, how it connects to what you're doing today with your dog training, like the values, the morals, you know, how did that translate?
Speaking of that, you know, that's another thing that I went through. You know, I had to figure out, do I want to stay? Not to take away what you're talking about, but just real quick, I did separate Air Force Reserves back in last year.
Wow.
In 2020.
Oh, wow.
I separated in October, and it feels great because it led me to the opportunity I'm doing now. Because if I stay with through, I would have more challenges being in the dog training realm, because that's my full time. And they were expecting a lot out of me. And I was like, this is really damaging what I love, I love to do. But to go back to your question, just learning from active duty side, as well as just being in the reserves, learning how to communicate with people, you know, at a professional level. It also helped me to be accountable, because accountability is number one, right? They tell you to do something, you do it, you follow through. You don't shortcuts. You don't just like, I can't do it anymore. It's like, no, you have to. And so that helped me a bit of other things outside the military, as well as there's so much I've learned from the military, and just being able to be adaptable and I guess approachable. There's so many principles that I use in the military that is so correlated to what I'm doing in dog training. It's not even funny. Like and that's why I love it. Because I can apply it to everything else that I do. You know, not just dog training, but even talking with friends and stuff. I'm not saying I'm using it as a way to how should I say it? Not trying to take it as a professional thing, but just knowing the principles of it, it applies to everything you do, right? Being consistent, you talked about that, right? That's another thing, learning how to be consistent, and then being persistent, right? After you become consistent, you just don't stop.
Yeah.
You keep on going. That's where you become persistent. You maintain yourself, or whatever skill set that you're trying to develop, or whatever project, right? And you know, I'm not perfect. I'm human. You know, we're going to make mistakes, but are we going to let those mistakes dictate who we become? And that's probably one of the biggest things I've learned too, is don't let your failures dictate who you're going to become. If you say that you're going to be a failure, I'm sorry. It's going to apply to, you're going to see it. You know, you got to feed your mind what you're going to do, what you want to do. right? And just commit yourself to it.
Mm-hmm.
Create time, make time, prioritize it within everything else. So there's a lot of things that I apply now from the military that I greatly appreciate. I do appreciate everything they've done for me.
Mm-hmm.
It is that
you're in a different stage.
Exactly.
Yeah.
My new chapter of my life. That's how I look at it. You know how many times that I had, like, and I love them. I really do. I respect them for who they are, you know, what they represent, you know, my higher up. So, like, my captain, my major, the chief, you know, that I worked with, they were like, hey, you're not going to stay for the 20? You know, I was like, I'm not about, you know, taking, you know, I appreciate what they've given me, but I want to be more independent. I want to say I did this for myself, right? Versus they are like, here you go. You get this, you got that, all the nice things. It's great and everything, but I don't know. That's just me. Right? And I looked at it at different angles, honestly, when it comes to should I make this final decision of separating from the military, right? Because if this happens, what do I do? What if dog training didn't work out? What am I going to do next? Am I going to be like, oh, you know what? I'm a failure. Yeah. They're not going to take me back. You know, they're going like, no, Sergeant McGill, you said that you didn't want to make your 20. So, but they're not going to be like that. They were very, like, even though I decided not to, you know what they said and say? You're more than welcome to come back. Of course they're going to say that. I mean, but I want to say it was more of them being genuine, you know, rather than just like, oh, we need to complete a mission. Yeah. Right?
Yeah, it was. They understood the people aspect in a way.
Yes.
I think with managing people too, I think one thing that a lot of like managers or like leaders they forget is the people aspect. Because there's this whole, and that's why I love watching shows like Mindhunter, the psychology, you know, like with Mindhunter, it's psychology of serial killers, interviewing them, understanding the motives, right? But then even for like, you know, people that are, like if you're a leader, you're leading a team, understanding their motives and being able to, like if they want more time, hey, let's give them more time. And then if we invest in them, there's a lot of better things that will happen. They'll be better people and it's not because like, oh, like the company will be better, but they'll just be better individuals in general. And then with like even with like the military, like with them extending out, like, hey, you know, you're welcome to come back. It was more of a, we invest in Ricky rather than just, Ricky's going to help us with this mission. Yeah. You know? Absolutely. And that's important. Because that's something that a lot of managers miss. They just think the money, the profit, the production, or the efficiency. Yeah. But the efficiency, all those things will come when you, and the profit will come when there's this investment in the people first. And that goes with like customers or even people that, you know, are in your team. That's that investment goes first, and then the profit and all those other things will come. Kelsey.
What up?
Do you like beef?
Yeah.
Do you like Japanese Wagyu beef? Guys, if you said yes to both of these questions, let me tell you something. You guys need to hit up Easy Wagyu 808, right? This is no joke. Kelsey, tell us more about them.
Yeah, so Easy Wagyu 808 sell these amazing Japanese Wagyu steaks, even Australian Wagyu,
really?
Caviar, even uni.
Oh my God.
And they're at very affordable prices.
Oh my God.
And even when you purchase one of these Japanese Wagyu steaks, you get a certificate of authenticity confirming that it is an official Wagyu steak from Japan.
Get out of here. What the heck? Guys, let me tell you something. I have some really good news for you. If you DM Easy Wagyu 808 and you use my promo code KSP4, you will get an additional $5 off per pound of all Japanese Wagyu products. That means if he was discounting Japanese Wagyu beef for maybe like $10 off per pound, you use KSP4, you will get an additional $5 off. That means $15 off per pound for these awesome Japanese Wagyu products. Can you believe
That's
that?
a steal.
Crazy.
And they're so delicious. Just, mouth watering. You gotta try it at least once.
Guys, you want to tap into this amazing deal? All you need to do is DM Easy Wagyu 808. That's EZWAGYU 808. Use promo code KSP4. Even with podcasting, I mean that's like another thing with like investing the time to like interviewing people, or even doing kind of the grind work, the reaching out, and with the Mauna Kea podcast. I like this one because I had to fly to Mauna Kea to get footage.
Yeah.
Well, I had to fly to the Big Island, not fly directly.
I know what you're saying.
The plane
though.
didn't go right to Mauna Kea.
Oh, this guy, big time, huh?
Big time. They heard me. Hey, make the landing plan.
Ladies and gentlemen.
But I made the time for it, and it was just one whole day of me just filming, and then flying back the same day. But I invested the time, the energy into it, and it came out really good. As a result, it's something that people can look back on and say, hey, this is a representation, rather than like the whole the views and everything. I mean, the views came, whatever, blah blah blah, but I think for me the most important was the representation was there, and that it wasn't slandered by maybe some media outlet that probably got a portion of the story, or maybe somebody that wanted to do a shorter video. I wanted to extend it, make it longer so that people can understand. There's more aspects than just the mountain and the people that are supporting the cause. There's more to it, so that investment led to more exposure, which is great. The exposure was great, but the investment was the important thing for me.
That's so awesome.
So yeah, with dog training too. The investment with one thing we had a dog training over here, which is interesting because I never did dog training before, but it was what I got from it, I think, was the investment in time with helping Molly to learn. And that would be important, like when Kelsey and I get like a Shiba Inu or something like that.
For sure, yeah.
That investment in helping that Shiba Inu or that dog to learn certain things before enacting, certain commands. With yours, I've seen yours. It's like just hand motions, which is crazy.
Yeah, body language, right? That's key. You got to remember, and I think. Not saying that it's wrong, but for someone that's not aware of how dogs learn, they talk to. Hey, don't get me wrong, I talk to my dogs all the time, but in the end, they're visual learners. They watch us. They watch every single move that we do. Right? If you think about it, the perspective of a dog, right? You're at home, you're doing this, that, you're not even not looking at but you know what your dog is doing? Your dog is watching you every move that you make, and then your dog be conditioned on knowing your routines. But this is what they don't know. You can switch those routines, and they'll be like, okay, and that's where the anxiety kicks in. But it varies from dog to dog. It's going to be, some dogs are more sensitive than others, but that's what causes that, and that I think that's great that you guys were able to see the dog trainer and stuff like that, because, we're getting educated, we're learning, right? It's more about us learning about the dogs, how they learn, right? How do I make my dog focus on me? How do I get my dog to do this and that, right? And then also understand that, they do certain things because it feels natural for them. And how do I redirect that? Maybe that natural behavior is not something that we want. That's where we have to figure out, okay, what do I need to do to redirect my dog to do something else that I enjoy? And then we're being rewarded for it, right? Because it is an investment, long-term investment, right? Because you're building a lifetime bond. And when I heard that the first time, I'm like, what? I was like, I always had dogs, but I didn't look at it that way. I mean, call it ignorance, but That's
it's like a kid.
Yeah,
a lifetime bond. There.
Yeah, and then that really opened up to other things, just knowing that, hey, my dog is only going to learn is if I apply what the trainer is teaching me, right? And I think some people, they have a hard time balancing out from their other things, but the greatest things about it, the latest trends when it comes to positive-based dog training, it's all about that quality time. It's not going to be like, oh, I'm going to spend a half an hour training to do my dog, one thing or maybe multiple things. It's breaking it down throughout the day, using that quality time. And this is crazy. Anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes throughout the day. Now, when you hear that, I was like, that's not a lot of time. But the thing is, you're actively getting your dog to figure, okay, when am I going to get the next reward, right? So when you do it frequent and short durations, you're going to have better attention, right? So and always leaving on a high note for the dog, so they understand what we want from them. So I know I kind of went off with that.
No, that's good because it talks about with going back to body language, because one thing that I learned was with yelling at a dog and stuff like that, the dog doesn't understand English.
Yep.
So when you're yelling at a dog or something, they'll just think like, oh, you're excited. They want to see me. It's a different reaction.
Yeah.
Versus with Molly, I've been doing this thing for maybe the past couple of years, but it's more so I approach her very calmly.
That's good.
And I just go, hey, let's chill a little bit. You know what I mean? if I don't want her to jump up on me.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
And it works pretty well because she hasn't jumped on. When she sees me, it's go, hey, come. Or when you were outside, I was just, hey, Molly, come a little bit. And she walked over.
You set that expectation for her, and that's good. And it doesn't have to be a drastic step into that direction, but that shows you, right? If you do things in a calming manner, you're going to have a more receptive dog. And that's awesome.
And ending off on a good note, you were saying, petting her or rewarding her. So sometimes I'll play with her. We'll be a little bit more active. But versus one problem we used to have is my landlord and stuff, they used to have with playing fetch with her, because she would want to steal the ball away and just run away. But then what I learned is am I the one chasing after her, or is she chasing after me? So then I changed up the vibe.
There you go.
If she would want to not give me the ball, I go, okay, I'm going, see you later.
That's good.
I start walking away, and she follows me, and I go, oh, no, you want to play. And if she plays kind of hard, then I just go, oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Try to make it boring, and then when she does what I want her to do, then I can be like, okay, now we can play.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what it takes, is doing those little, taking appropriate measures like you did, and then just being able to get them to understand you, right? Because that's what you're building communication,
right?
And that's awesome that you were able to witness that, right? It's amazing, right?
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's just taking those steps and then seeing the outcome of it. You're like, wow, I love this. Just imagine how much more you can do just based on what you just did, right? And that's just being consistent, just following through, and then now you got your dog to do the things that you want them to do.
Yeah, I mean, even with you see in the hallway, I was like, hey, let's go out. She went out instantly, right? And before, it used to be different because, getting her attention was different. I guess I thought of a way, I just put my finger up just so she kind of just sees my finger. I don't know, that's kind of like a measuring point. So I use it to focus. And then I'll give her a command, I'll point her in the direction, and she'll go in the direction.
And that's how you do it, just like that. That's awesome.
So I thought it was interesting, the mentality of that, because that kind of goes with raising children too.
Yeah.
With direction, because some parents, they'll just hey, let's just scold our children, let's spank them.
Yeah.
Every time, or let's just yell at them. and they'll
The chili pepper water.
they'll comply. I think for us, maybe we grew up, like for me, I grew up maybe getting beat up sometimes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then I'll comply. but but I think with there's a better way too.
For sure.
There's alternative ways. Just being the presence can be different. With some parents it's like, oh, there's my dad. Okay, now I gotta straighten out. Even if he didn't yell or do anything when they were growing up, they just like, that's my dad. There's a difference to it. I know with my dad. So my dad's a great example because we got into maybe one major fight. That was it. Our whole lifetime, and it was funny. It was in Vegas. We were wrestling. He almost choked me out. like I was passing out. I was 7 years old, but I was passing out because I know it's funny because during this whole from our last podcast to now. I know the experience of passing out, what it actually looks like, and that's what happened when I was 7 years old. My vision started, caving in like this.
Yeah.
Blinking was slower, and I was choking. And my dad, my mom was like, she was like yelling at him, like, "Hey, you're killing him! You're choking him out." And then I just went crazy because I was freaking out at that time.
For sure, yeah.
But then it's weird because growing up with my dad, we never got into a major fight. That was a physical thing, but we were verbally we got along so well. But I revere my dad, and it was, I think for me, it was just seeing just witnessing. I think it was the interaction, the relationship, just watching him. Seeing the person he is made me revere him more or respect him, so to where if people if I saw my dad, like, oh, that's my dad,
yeah,
like I'm gonna this is the guy over here. So that's a good example of like with parents and how they raise children and stuff like that. You don't have to yell at them profusely, you don't have to beat them with a whip or something.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
But it's that goes back with dog training. Like you were saying with the relationship, crazy over there with the with different things. So I think that's great, And then with relationships, we can go into relationships because for yourself it's different because I'm not used to you being in a relationship, which is great. I think that's awesome, but at the same time there's a learning curve to it.
Oh, for sure.
There's a growing part of it. Same thing with like dog trainers, or the relationship, that bond. There's a learning curve with being in a relationship.
Oh, absolutely. There's you're making another commitment.
Yeah.
Right, and it depends how that person is are they willing to be committed with you, knowing that you have your hands full. It's crazy, man. I never really looked at it that way because I guess +2 is like I never really been in a long relationship. So long story short, I was in a relationship and thought things were working out, and she was from another state. I mean, she's originally from here, but she lived in Seattle. So she would come out here to visit her mom and whatnot, and that's how I met her. I met her, guess what? I met her
for dog training.
Yeah, through dog training because I was training her mom's dog, and that's all it took. And then things were going good. I want to say, I don't know. You get to learn a person, right? And are like, man, she's a cool person. Don't get me wrong, she's awesome, but it's just different, ways of thinking, and also being distance away from her, going back to Seattle. I had to figure out, do I want to move up there, or do I want to stay here?
Persistent,
Yeah, so it was a lot of things to think about, but we kind of ended it, but I don't know. I'm hoping that she's doing okay, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But moving on to other things, you know, and there's, I think a lot of it is just a learning, just me just learning. Just maybe I need to date more. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like that was like probably the longest I've been with someone too.
Yeah.
Like
That was.
I was like for almost so it's like December. I met her December of last year, and then we kind of ended it about maybe three months ago. So that was probably the longest.
Yeah.
But that's okay. You know what? I'm still young. I'm still learning. But at the same time, I got to think about, I got my parents, right? They're not getting any younger, too. So that's another thing, too.
Yeah.
Don't want to rush it. But at the same time, I do want to have my own family and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in a lot of ways, like with me, you know, I used to give a lot of relationship advice. This is before I even got into a relationship, like any relationship. But you know, I just thought it was stuff that I would notice maybe like from bad relationships or even good relationships. So I just give advice to see the things I would observe, and I applied it to my relationship now. Which it's crazy that, you know, a lot of the things I told people, like, hey, you know, I told you guys this would work out, right? If you did it like this, and look what happened, you know. But I, you know, for me, it was a learning curve for me too. I think the thing that I learned the most with being in a relationship with my wife is the time. So, you know, adding her to that kind of that slice of pie. Or that pie that pie chart of how am I separating my time, you know, separating it between not just like her family but my family, to my friends, to work, you know, and to her, you know, there was this there's a difference, there's a learning curve with that. And then for me, I was I guess I adjusted pretty well. I would say I adjusted pretty well because I seen it coming. I was like, okay, I'm spending more time with her. Okay, now I'm going to have to figure out, readjust myself. I'm going to have to ground myself to see what I should maybe reduce the amount of hours I work. You know what I mean? Or maybe not do so many podcasts or something.
Yeah.
If I'm using that as an example. But,
okay.
You know, maybe not do so much of something that I was doing before, you know, because like before it was like, hey, you know, I'm gonna go clubbing, you know, or my friends we're gonna go drink or something, you know, we're gonna go Zippy's late at night.
Yeah.
Can't do that anymore in Zippy's Kailua, unfortunately.
Oh,
but,
really?
Yeah, they close at like 12 or something.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's pretty sad, but. But you know, like before, it would be different. You know, I would be going out with my friends, and then I'd just hang out at their house, and maybe we wouldn't be drinking, but we would just chill. And for me, like I had to change that mentality. I was like, okay, I can't do that as much now.
Yeah.
You know, and yeah, it's pretty good. You know, for me, it's like it's an acceptance that like I know my lifestyle, and I enjoy it.
That's good. That's the main thing, that you do enjoy what you're doing.
Yeah, I enjoy where I'm at with like with separating time between different people and stuff. Of course, like for me, there's like a desire, like I wish I spent more time with my other friend here. You know what I mean? Or I haven't spent that much time here. So like once in a while, I'll just be like, just adjust the sliver, that pie a little bit, you know, and I. Of course, that goes back to like dog training as well. You know, that time you spend with your dog and stuff.
Oh, for sure.
And work, that adds to that pie chart. And if you're not spending that much time with the dog, then the relationship's not there.
Yeah.
There's disobedience.
Oh,
there's distrust. You know, so I think with your profession, it leads to a lot of different lessons that people can learn.
I agree, 100%. Yeah.
Anything you want to shout out before?
Yeah.
Or anything you're up to? You know, anything you want you want to say before?
Yeah, I want to say, I know this is like a belated Veterans Day, but shout out to all those service members, prior service, ones that are still serving, and the ones that are about to start their journey in serving their country. Happy Veterans Day.
Sounds good. And Ricky, thank you again for
thank you so much
for joining me. What I like to do on Kampai Sugai is do a toast. So we'll get some kombucha out, or my wife will, and then we'll toast it.
Sounds good.
But shout out my shirt. See, this is weird because I'm not used to my wife telling me certain things. But yeah, shout outs to Light Sleepers. That's one of my favorite brands.
Okay.
Cavett, he's a DJ, but he also merchandise. He sells Light Sleepers merchandise, and I really enjoy it. I have a ton of their shirts.
Okay. Yeah, I've never heard of that brand.
I used to have their whatchamacall. There was a Blanca shirt, right? Talking about Street Fighter, Blanca, and he had a mic. I wish I still had this shirt. It said Beast Mode.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, and I was like, that was my favorite shirt, but I had a hole in it, so I had to. And I would sew it up before, but it just got a little bit too old, so yeah, I had to get rid of it. But I still have like shirts like this. This is kind of Street Fighter. If people know Street Fighter 2, this is the shirt. Anyway, Ricky, thank you again for joining me on part 2 of our. This would be part 2 or the second one, and and happy belated Veterans Day.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is to you. This is to your success, to things in the future that are in store for you, with being a national dog trainer. But who knows? You be an international dog trainer. Maybe start your own YouTube channel. Who
knows?
Yeah, that would be really interesting, actually. So, this is to your future and everything you're doing. So, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Kampai.
Kampai.